I have created a quick PowerPoint slide with some directions and notes on how to find the equation of a line in the format y equals mx plus b. And after just a couple slides of notes, I also have a couple of examples to show you. So y equals mx plus b is called slope-intercept form for a line. And it's called this because the variable m is equal to the slope on a graph. Sometimes we think of that as rise over run, and when we calculate that, rise is the change in the y value and run is the change in the x value. If we know 2 points on the line, we can calculate slope using the formula y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. The other value in that slope-intercept form that we will want to find is the b, which is the y-coordinate of the y-intercept. The y-intercept is the point 0b, and that's the point where our line crosses the y-axis. If we can just find both of these values, we can plug them into that slope-intercept form in the spot for m and for b, and we'll have the equation for our line. So the very first thing we need to do is find the value of m, which is our slope. It's possible that m will be given, and if so, this step is really easy. It's already done for us. We could also be given 2 points on the line, and if we are not given m, the slope, but we are given 2 points, we would use our slope formula to calculate the slope ourselves, and that slope formula was m equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. It's possible that we'll also be given a line to reference, and that line could be a parallel line. And if so, if we are told we want to find a line parallel to a given line, we would use the exact same slope. So the slope we would use, m1, is equal to m2, which is the slope of the line that was given to us. And lastly, we could be given a line that is perpendicular. And if that is true, we want to take the slope of the perpendicular line and find its opposite reciprocal slope. So our slope, m1, would equal the negative of 1 over m2. We change the sign and we flip it. So the first step was to find the slope. The second step is to find the b value, which is the y-coordinate of the y-intercept. To do this, we're going to start with our slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. And at this point, we'll know the value of m, because that was our first step. And we also have to be given a point on the line, and every point contains an x-coordinate and a y-coordinate. So we could plug those in for the x and the y in that slope-intercept equation, and that would leave us with only b as the unknown value, and we could solve for the b value. Once we know our m value from the last step and our b value from this step, all we have to do is write our final answer in the y equals mx plus b format. In this last step, you leave the y and the x alone because y and x can change, but once you know the m value and the b value, you would plug those numbers in for m and b in the slope-intercept form, and you would have the equation for your line. So since there was 4 different ways that I had on the slope slide, that we could be given slope, I've got 4 examples that correspond to each of them. In this first one, we want to find the equation of the line with a slope m equals 3 that passes through the point 2, negative 7. So in this example, we are given the slope is equal to 3. So that's really easy. So all we have to do is solve for the b, and we start with our y equals mx plus b form. And we plug in our point, which has an x value of 2, a y value of negative 7, and we're given an m value of 3. So we just plug those into the correct spots in our y equals mx plus b form, and we see that b is the only value in that equation that we don't know. So we're going to simplify that a little bit. When we first plug in, we get negative 7 equals 3 times 2 plus b, and to do that multiplication, we'll get negative 7 equals 6 plus b. I want to solve that equation for b, so I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides of that equation, and we get that b is negative 13. So we're given the m value of 3, and we just solve for a b value of negative 13, and we can write our final answer in y equals mx plus b form. We plug in our m equal 3 and our b equals negative 13, and we get the equation y equals 3x minus 13. For the second example, we're going to be given 2 points on the line. We want to find the equation of the line that passes through the points 1, 5 and 4, negative 1. So here they did not give us the slope, but they gave us 2 points. So we're going to start off by calculating our slope, and slope is equal to the difference in our y values. So I started with the y from the second coordinate, negative 1, and then subtracted the y from the first point, which was 5, so negative 1 minus 5, and then we divide by the difference in our x values. Since I started with negative 1 for my y's, I have to start with 4 for my x's. So in the denominator, I have 4 minus 1, which are my x values. And we can do the subtraction. We get negative 6 divided by 3, and simplify that, and we find that we have a slope for this line of negative 2. So we've got our slope. To calculate the b, we always start with our y equals mx plus b form. We're going to plug in our slope of negative 2, and I chose to plug in the point 1, 5. We have 2 points here that we could use, and both of them would work, and I just chose to plug in 1 for my x and 5 for my y. And we get 5 equals negative 2 times 1 plus b. So do that multiplication, and we get 5 equals negative 2 plus b, and we're trying to solve for b, so I'm going to add that 2 over to the other side of the equation to get that b equals 7. So we know our slope is negative 2, and the y-coordinate of our y-intercept is 7, and we can write our final answer. The equation of our line is m equals negative 2x plus 7. So in this example, we had to calculate the slope from 2 points. In example 3, we are going to be given a line that we want to be parallel to our line. So number 3 says find the equation of the line that passes through the point 0, negative 2 and is parallel to the line 2x minus y equals 9. So we said if the line is going to be parallel, we want to use the exact same slope. But this line that we're given is not in slope-intercept form. So to figure out the slope, our very first task is to take this line 2x minus y equals 9 and put it in slope-intercept form. And to do that, we need to solve it for y. So we've got our 2x minus y equals 9. To solve that equation for y, I need to subtract that 2x over to the right-hand side, and we get negative y equals negative 2x plus 9. And then we need to divide both sides by negative 1 so that we have y all by itself there on the left. And when we do that, we get y equals 2x minus 9. That is the exact same line, except it is now in slope-intercept form, and we can easily identify the slope as being 2. So we're going to be using an m value, a slope value of 2. Because our line is parallel, we use the same slope. So step number 2 is to solve for the b value. We always start with y equals mx plus b. And we're going to plug in our slope of 2 and that one point that we were given that has an x-coordinate of 0 and a y-coordinate of negative 2. And we get the equation negative 2 equals 2 times 0 plus b. And we'll do that multiplication. We get negative 2 equals 0 plus b. Therefore, negative 2 is equal to b. So we know our slope is positive 2, and our b value is negative 2, and we can take those two and plug them into our slope-intercept form to write our final answer, y equals 2x minus 2. Now our last example is going to be fairly similar, where we're given a line to reference, but there's going to be one difference. Instead of wanting our line to be parallel, in this next one we want our line to be perpendicular. So we want to find the equation of the line that passes through the point 6, 0 and is perpendicular to the line y equals negative 3x plus 1. Well, one thing that's a little bit easier about this one is this line that we're given is already in slope-intercept form. And the slope for this line, since it's already solved for y, we can see is negative 3. Well, since we want our line to be perpendicular, we need to find the opposite reciprocal, which means we need to take that slope of negative 3 and change the sign. So we're going to change it to positive, and we need to flip it. So instead of 3, we're going to use a third. So the slope of our line is going to be 1/3. And now that we know that, m equals a third, and we were given a point on the line of 6, 0, we can solve for the b value. We always start with y equals mx plus b. We know a y, an m, and an x value, so we will plug them in and get 0 equals 1/3 times 6 plus b. We'll do that multiplication and we get 0 equals 2 plus b. And we want to solve that equation for b by subtracting 2 from both sides. And we get that our b value is negative 2. So we know our slope is a third and our b value is negative 2, and we can write our final answer for this line, y equals 1/3 x minus 2. I hope that helped you a little bit in finding equations for lines. This pretty much covers all the possible examples you could see, but if you have any more questions, definitely feel free to call or email me and I can help you out some more. Thanks.